Taking a look at Scorpion. Hey, come here. Get over here. Okay, people, welcome back to another Fwoosh review. Tonight I'm taking a look at Storm Collectibles' Mortal Kombat Scorpion. Now, I have to admit I was never much of a fighting game guy. I played them, but I did a lot of watching over shoulders. Back at the arcades, throwing quarters down, but I was never really great at it. I guess you could say that. But I love the characters from these games. I love the story behind the games, and I love me some action figures. So I really wanted to take a look at this Scorpion, especially with Storm Collectibles being a fairly new company. I wanted to see what the deal was. Now, as you can see, pretty much standard window box, graphics on the side, Mortal Kombat. Everything is pretty visible in the window. You see what you figure, effects, extra hands, head. There's also options for both Mortal Kombat 1 and 2 masks, so that's pretty cool. Options are always good. On the side, you have more of the Scorpion graphic wrapping around. On the back, some of the poses and how to use the accessories, and then a little bio. On the other side, there's a pretty picture of Scorpion. Top has the Mortal Kombat logo. Bottom has Storm Collectibles, choking hazard, small parts. Not a lot here to distract you from the figure itself, but I'm going to get this open and I'm going to see exactly what's going on here. Now, getting it out of the package, it has a tray, everything's molded to the parts, and then it has a top kind of lid part to keep everything in place. There's also instructions included inside, switching the heads, switching the hands, putting on the spears, and then the Hellfire with the skull head. And then inside the box itself, the back insert kind of comes out of the box, and I guess you can use this as a backdrop if you wanted to behind your figures. So nice little addition to the packaging there. And there we go, all out of the package. And I have to admit, this thing is the real deal. The sculpt is super nice. It's kind of blocky, but it takes me back to those old arcade games. The paintwork here, nice base colors, but then there's some subtle shading and weathering here and there. On the bracers, there's a metallic silver, like there's scuff marks. The yellow padding that comes up and over the shoulders and then down in front of the crotch area, the belt, it all has kind of a black wash to it. And then the shin guards and knee pads have a super nice wash to those. It looks very weathered. For the black of the gi, it's just straight black, but kind of sinks into the background and lets the yellow stand out. And the skin tone. The skin tone has a little bit of wash to it. It adds a little bit of depth. And then the face, even though there's no iris in the eyes, it has a nice red around it, kind of to help define those eyes, help them stand out a little bit. Now, the first thing I'm going to get out of the way is the size. He stands at about 6 3/4. Yes, it may be a little bit large for true 1/12 scale, but it's too small for the 7-inch scale. As you can see from the Marvel Legends cable that just came out recently, he's shorter than that. But you put him beside the Bucky cap using Black Panther body, and it does look huge, but that's because of bulk. 6'7" doesn't really sound bad for a dude fighting in another dimensional fighting tournament. Here he is with the NECA Dutch, which is a 7-inch scale figure. As you can see, Dutch is quite a bit bigger than Scorpion. The figure itself is solid. I mean, there's no really flex to the joints. The joints are interesting. It's kind of a joint within a joint, so you get full range of movement. But the use of soft plastic here for the hood going up over the head, the padded yellow part here, as you can see, it just comes off. And then the skirt piece for the gi under this padded yellow piece, that's all soft material. Also the bracers, soft material. And the hands, even though they're solid, are made of this kind of same material. So yeah, there's some softness to those. But what that means is none of this gets in the way of articulation, which is freaking amazing. The neck piece, it's attached to the front here, but it's open in the back, so it kind of moves with the head. You can see that it's kind of come out. You just stuff it back down in there. But if you get cranked over forward with the neck, it helps hide that. You bring it back, it goes right back down. And getting to the best part is the articulation. At first, there was a slight learning curve, only because of the huge range of movement here. The neck is a dumbbell joint, and you can see that it's open right there. And we'll get to some other open places like that, but it has to be to get the range of movement you get out of this figure. Ball at the top, ball at the bottom. So you get a lot of movement here. At the top of the neck, you get side, side, up, down. But then you add the bottom of the neck and you also get down. You get side, You get side. The shoulder is a shoulder within a shoulder, if that makes any sense, and it's easier to show you. There's actually a ball inside the torso where you can get movement forward and back. It works like a butterfly joint, but it works up and down too. So you can get all around. And that works because the gi is a soft piece kind of over a skeleton. You can kind of feel these moving under it. And then the shoulders hinge and swivel inside that joint. So you get up, and then it swivels all the way around. You have a swivel at the bicep. You have double elbow, pretty much comes all the way up. There's a ball going into the forearm from the wrist, and then there's a pin going down into the hand. So you have movement at the ball inside the forearm, and then you have the movement at the ball on the wrist. And you can set that to go in any direction you want. There's a ball in the torso, and it kind of moves under the yellow part here. So you can crunch over, and then you can arc back, and you can see it gaps up a little bit, but you just shift it, closes the gap. Same thing with the waist. So put those two together, and you can get pretty much all the way forward, all the way back, then you get side to side. The hips are on a ball, and without this over it, it looks kind of ugly, but that is like that to give you the range of movement that it does. The pin goes through, you have kind of a shift up and down, and then the ball itself has a rotation on it, and then a rotation on top of that. So you get double movement there for the most part. But what that allows is for you to get, hell, more than 90. Same thing forward. The gi doesn't really get in the way. You get more than 90 forward, and then 90 back. Freaking amazing amount of movement here. You can get all the way up. Like I said, there's a swivel up there at the ball. Double knee comes almost all the way up. There's a ball going down into the ankle, but there's also a hinge at the bottom of the legs. You get forward when it comes up over the shin guard. You get back. You get rotation because it's on a ball. Not so much out, but you get a lot of in for rocker ankle. And then there's the toe joint. For accessories, you get the Mortal Kombat 1 mask, and you get the Mortal Kombat 2 mask. It's pretty easy to change out. You just pull it off the face. There's a peg inside of that, and there's a pinhole right in the middle of the face. You could display it like that because it looks scary as hell like that. For hands, you get 2 fists. You get 2 flat palm open hands, and then you get another set of open hands, but the fingers are a little bit more relaxed. You get kind of a claw hand. It's not quite a grip, but the fingers are bent even more. And then for the right hand, you get a holding hand, a grip hand. Switch out the hands, you just pull them off the pin. Now, like I said, the hands are a soft material, so they have some flex to them. Changing them out's not a problem at all. But sometimes when you change them out, the ball comes out of the forearm. That's not a biggie. You can still just take it, pull it out of there, change it to another hand, just pop it in there, and then you can just pop it back into the forearm. Not a huge deal. Now, like I said, the right hand does come with a grabby hand, and that is for the spear, the chain. Again, going back to the soft material, you can just pry it open and then put that in there. And he holds it pretty good. Or you can have it where the spear is shooting out. All you have to do, take this hand off. The straight roped one has a hoop at the end. You put that over that, and then you just plug on the flat palmed hand. And there you go. Easy enough. For alternate head, you get the skull. And it looks pretty good. It's got some weathering to it. The gray against the white. It looks pretty bony. Switch out the head. It just pops off the top. Not a big deal. There's a ball, and it goes in the hole. Now, there is some gap whenever you put the skull on there that you can see, only because this head has nothing coming down over it to hide that joint. But if you get it down like that, the neck itself is going to come up and hide the pin. Now, this has an articulated jaw to go along with that, and that is to go with the flame effect. Good detail here. It's made of a translucent material, and then there's the base at the bottom. Now, you'll notice there's no pin to plug into the head. It just kind of sits into the base, and then you kind of balance it in the head. But when you get it all set up, it looks great. It looks like he's setting it on fire. So at the end of the day, this figure is the real deal. I am super impressed with Storm Collectibles right now. When I first got it out of the package, it seemed blocky. It seemed kind of hard to maneuver. But as I started playing, as I started messing with it, I started realizing that any pose I can think of, this figure can probably do it. And as you're looking at these pictures, just know that this is just a small percentage of the poses this figure can get. Yeah, just look at these poses. He can do Iron Man's ground punch. He can do any pose from the game, really. High kick poses, jump kick poses, hold his own foot in the air. There's one of the poses in here. He's doing a mule kick. He's looking up under himself while he's doing the kick. All I started doing was moving the figure and trying to stand him up. And 99% of the time, it was fairly easy to do. The range of movement in this thing is amazing. And that's not even to talk about the look. It looks menacing because of the eye paint, the red around that. He really looks like an evil bastard. Add all that to the weathering on the costume and the actual look of the figure itself, the sculpt work on this thing, it's an amazing piece. It's been a super long time since I even thought about wanting a Mortal Kombat figure, and here I am, gushing about a Mortal Kombat figure. It kind of snuck up on me. I had seen the promotional pictures, and I thought, yeah, that's cool looking, but having this in hand, that's when the magic happens. This figure is complete hand candy. This review is probably under 10 minutes. I've been messing with this figure for 3 hours. Trust me, this is a great figure. So if you like the review, comment, like, subscribe. I'll catch you on the Fwoosh. And for you youngins, arcade games are when we used to go out to places that had video games in cabinets, and then, you know, we'd mingle among other humans, and we'd play fighting games, and we'd talk, and we'd get mad at each other. There would sometimes be fights, but, you know, it was always in good fun.